Alright, so we're here at the first race of the night, which is also our last night of the season. I'll fill you in on the points in just a second, but you see some glitching in front from the car in front, the McLaren in front. Luckily it all straightens out right before the race time. And coming into turn one right here, I always try to be as safe as possible to avoid crazy things going on, so I go super wide there, and it works out. I stay clean. I'm just trying to keep peaceful and keep calm through this opening lap. So this is the last night of the 5-week season. Oh, and there, right there, the Porsche goes off and starts to spin, and I do my best to avoid it. Luckily, I do avoid any damage, any contact. And then right here as well, on the next section, I give Crack a little dive bomb here. Watch this. I don't mean to be as aggressive as I am. That was 100% me accidentally being too late on the brakes, and then going to the inside. I got super lucky and it worked out, and it kind of turned into a perfect pass. But to be honest, I would never really try to pass like that from as far back as I did. Skunkle goes off to the right there, and I'm going to be behind Skunkle now and try to catch a little rhythm. So like I was saying, this is the last night of a 5-week series. Unfortunately, I missed one of our weeks, so I'm only getting points from 4 races. So that kind of hurts me in the standings a little bit. I'm competing for, I think I'm tied for 7th going into this night. So Skunkle loses it there coming out of that turn, coming out of that slow corner, and I am now in 9th place. So we're going to do a little skipping around in this race because there's not a ton of action. So right here I can tell there's kind of a train of cars in front of me. I'm going to be in their dirty air. I'm going to be not at my maximum speed, so I make a quick decision to dive into the pits right there. I dive in and take an early pit stop here, just a lap and a half into the race. That way I can come out of the pits, and the strategy does work out again. So I come out of the pits in 16th place. Obviously not great, not where I want to be, considering I qualified towards, not the best position. We're just going to have to do the best we can. So I'm in 16th place. I've got open track now. And one thing to note during this race, race 2, which I'm going to show a little bit later, my times are just so much faster even though the track conditions are the same. So I think it just took me a while to find a rhythm at the Nurburgring. So now I'm getting a little bit closer as I skip forward. There's 9 minutes left in the race, and notice I'm a couple seconds behind Taxi. So like I was saying, I think it just took me a while to get up to speed at the Nurburgring. That first section of the track, where there's a lot of slow corners, a lot of coasting instead of just hard on the brakes and then onto the accelerator, there's just a lot of like these long, slow corners where you're just kind of sitting off the throttle, coasting the car through the corner. And it's so tempting to touch the gas, to press the gas. But once you do, you start understeering through the corner, and it really slows you down. This is a great example right here. You're so tempted right there to press the gas too early, and you just have to wait to the right time to get on the gas. Here's another one. Trying to stay to the left there. A lot of times I would drift too wide. That was about the best during this first race. going through that first section, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, 2 seconds behind taxi. This is doable, right? 7 minutes left. We can catch him. Now you can see I'm up into 8th place. I skipped pretty far forward in the time because literally nothing in the race happened. There was no action. I was just driving by myself. But I passed a lot of people while they were taking their pit stops, which is how I was able to jump from 16th place back up to 8th place. I was 9th place before pitting, so maybe we gained 1 position. So now, if you look here, I'm getting much closer to taxi. As we both go by the Bentley there. And I get pretty close here. I'm like, okay, you know, we're within reach. Let's have a good lap. Let's start to battle. This race time was also a little closer to sunset, and just looks gorgeous. So here I make a big mistake. I take way too much inside curve, and then that just messes up the whole chicane. Really nervous there when I was kind of stuck on that second curve that I was going to completely lose the car and completely just lose control of the car. That's what I was nervous about. Luckily we saved it, but we lost a good chunk of time to the car in front to taxi. There's not really much threat behind us right now. There's a pretty decent gap. So the car and the car behind's also lapped. So we don't have too much stress about that. So right now there's a little less than 4 minutes left, and the only thing I care about is catching up to taxi. Now I'm going to leave the rest of this video unedited, and we're going to watch to the end of the race. And I do want you to, as you can see, I take too much inside curve there again. I do want you to notice my lap times. I think for this race we were in the 157s pretty much every lap. This is, in the 157s consistently, which did not feel great. Some of the best qualifying times were in the 155s for this group. So it was definitely better than I was doing during practice, but there's still somewhere I'm losing time. There's somewhere that things just aren't clicking. So this first race, as I pass another car in the pits, this first race was good in the sense that I started, I think, 13th and I finished 6th. Like, that's a lot of positions that I gained, but pretty much all of that came through taking an early pit stop. Not much of that came on track. This next race, race 2, which I'll be posting probably tonight as well. So we'll probably get 2 videos tonight. Race 2 was the opposite of this. Race 2 was much more exciting, at least from a driving standpoint. So we got about a minute and a half left, still trying to chase down Taxi. But Taxi is just not really making mistakes. And I keep losing a little bit of time in different sections because I'm pushing and maybe going over the limit just a little bit. But here's a good lap. Things are clicking in this lap, it seems.
There we go.
So this could end up being the fastest lap of the race one. Definitely not the fastest lap of the night, but it looks like we are, unless we do something outrageous in this last corner. Yep, so we're going to finish with the fastest lap of the race right there in the 156s. The reason I know it's the fastest lap of the race is I already watched this back and I know that there's a big mistake in this lap. So I'm starting to get close. It's the last lap. I mean, realistically, without Taxi making a catastrophic mistake, I'm not catching him. But happy to be close to the top 5. Like I said, I was sitting 7th in the standings, which was tied with Thomas. A few points behind Skunkle Bunny, and because I finished higher than both of them in this race, I'm feeling really excited about the prospect of jumping up into the top 5 to finish in the league standings. That feels like a great accomplishment in my first season, and there's the big mistake from that final lap, which is the moment where it's like, okay, I have no chance of catching him now. Not that I really had a chance anyways, but top 5 feels like a great accomplishment in my first ACC season. I've been playing a lot of project cars before this. First ACC season, so excited to be in the top 5. Excited to also be in the top 5 despite losing 1 week of standings because I was sick 1 week and couldn't race. So there we go. We finished in 6th place. Great result considering our starting position.
Good race, Taxi. I was trying to get you.
And yeah, that's really it from race 1. It was not the most exciting race, but I kept with my strategy of avoid damage, avoid conflict and issues in lap 1. If I'm stuck in traffic, take an early pit stop, pass people while they're out on track.
Yeah, there's another
and that strategy has been consistently working throughout the season, so definitely something that I'm trying to implement. So yeah, I encourage you, this was a shorter video than some of the other ones. I really do encourage you to watch race 2, which I'll be posting shortly. Race 2 is much more exciting. I start at the front with some of the people who I'm battling with in the standings. Our league does, where the top 3 finishers of race 1 are not allowed to qualify in race 2, which gives me a good chance to qualify towards the top, since the top 3 on pace typically don't qualify in race 2. Just adds a little level of excitement. Anyways, definitely watch race 2 after you finish watching this one. Thanks for watching, everybody.